Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my PlayStation State of Play February 2025 impressions. And you're probably like, you're really not that much into PlayStation. Well, I kind of like most of the kind of gaming stuff, and there were actually some interesting kind of announcements here that I kind of liked to look into, and the weird kind of thing is this is going more along the lines of what is also kind of happening to Xbox. I mean, we don't really have much with regards to like PlayStation exclusives here. Like there can be timed exclusives, but they're almost doing a similar kind of thing where it's going to be timed on Sony's platform and then going on to like PC or whatnot. So I see that Xbox pretty much ceding the ground of being effective competition against Sony has made them do some weird fucking shit. I mean, that's not to knock Nintendo, but Nintendo does whatever the fuck it wants to do. It's got its stable of IP that will sell consoles pretty much no matter what. And it's not even really fighting on the same kind of battlefields that Xbox and Sony have been for decades at this point. So it is interesting to see these because I'm into games, and a lot of the games that were brought up here were kind of cool. Alright, let's see here. One of the big ones was like Saros, which is House Marquee's next game after Returnal, set for 2026. Let's see. Planet Carcosa, that is under the threat of an ominous eclipse. Players will take on the role of Arjun Devraj, who is a powerful Soltari enforcer searching for answers on a lost off-world colony. There will be permanent progression systems, and every death reshapes the world while offering new upgrades to overcome challenges. Now, I didn't show any gameplay or anything, but it's talking about like a collapsing kind of like sun, like black hole kind of thing, and this weird crazy ass thing popping up. I'm like, okay, I'm interested in looking into that. I looked up into some of the trailers on this. I'm like, some of the trailers for these games. I'm like, yes, please. We got Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater release date on August 28th, 2025, and there'll be an Ape Escape collaboration and potentially more crossovers yet to be revealed. So that's cool, and that will also be available on PC as well. Borderlands 4 release date confirmed for September 23rd, 2025. Also showcasing a gameplay trailer as well that actually looks pretty interesting. It didn't go that much into depth of any kind of characters or whatnot into Borderlands 4, but how movement kind of works, shooting, kind of sliding and everything. It looked nice and fluid and everything. Now, of course, this is a polished showcasing off gameplay kind of thing. What I saw, I'm like, oh, okay, let's see if we can actually be able to do that in the game. I understand Borderlands 3 had issues. I also had issues that were kind of outside of certain kind of things of being kind of screwed into the last DLC first that fucked me over on certain kind of things. So, if anything, I might do a replay on PC and see what kind of goes on from there. But we don't have an understanding of any of the story, really, or evidently, we're going to be getting a Borderlands 4 themed state of play later this spring, so we'll get more on that later, but I'm looking forward to that. We got Onimusha, Way of the Sword, new trailers showing off new gameplay and the protagonist, who they've, let's see, shows off the historic swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. They're basing him off of Mifune. That one actually looks pretty interesting, showing him just kind of like fighting it. Seemed more kind of a kind of tactical one. It seemed like an evolution of Onimusha. Now, I've played the remaster of the first one, and that, of course, has more kind of tank controls, kind of Resident Evil. This one gives me a kind of feel of, yeah, I know a lot of, it doesn't scream Dark Souls to me, if that makes sense. Everybody was like, okay, Dark Souls did this thing, and everybody was like, we're gonna fucking copy the fucking shit out of that. And like, there's a lot of different kind of action ways to do it. This one looked pretty interesting of how you're able to like fight the kind of undead warriors. Boss battles look to be pretty interesting. I got more of a Devil May Cry kind of vibe off of it rather than a Dark Souls kind of vibe off of it, which is pretty good. I'm alright with that. I'm good with the kind of bleed over effect of it being just an action kind of one, and yeah, you got bosses and stuff like that, and trying to figure out what's kind of going on. Him having the Oni Gauntlet and everything, and seeing what's happening with that. I'm like, okay, I'm interested in this series. Let's see what's going on. And of course, we've also got from bringing up the whole Onimusha 2 with the remaster with Capcom's. Hopefully, they keep up that trend because it would be cool to be able to do that. Tides of Annihilation revealed as well. This one is a single-player narrative-driven one. It's in modern London that has been taken over by otherworldly forces. Players will take on the role of Gwendolyn and will be able to call in the Knights of the Round Table to help her in combat. And there's like big-ass bosses as big as skyscrapers. Definitely check that trailer out. That one has more of a Fallen World, Dark Souls kind of vibe to it. It's like Dark Souls, Elden Ring kind of vibe, but more kind of set in like typical kind of broken down London setting. I would more compare it to Bloodvein, not Bloodvein, Code Vein, which has blood and vampires in it. That happens sometimes, but the characters look interesting. The world looks interesting. They're hunting. It looks like to be after the Holy Grail. She, even though it's like she's supposed to be this last kind of one, there are other kind of human-esque kind of characters in play, and we do seem to start to fight them at certain kind of points. This one is another kind of action one, and I'm glad we're getting these kind of. It's like a resurgence of these kind of action games, and I don't mind the Souls genre. It's just it kind of took over, and everybody's like, throw money at it. It's the fucking stupid shit of like the corporate assholes and AAA kind of, let's beat this fucking dead horse. It's like, nah, you want everything kind of everywhere. You want to spread. You want some AA games, some AAA games here, some indie games doing some crazy ass shit. We're getting a Days Gone remastered in April 25th, 2025. I know that's on PC. Players who already own the PS4 version will be able to upgrade to this newer version for $10. That's good. I'm glad for that. Let's see. They also announced a PlayStation Plus game catalog for February with like Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I enjoyed that. Top Spin 2K 2025. 2K25. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. Tape 1 and more. So check those out. I don't have that, so yeah. Leslie Benzies Mind's Eye gets a gameplay trailer in summer 2025 release window. I still need to look at this trailer, but it sounds kind of interesting. A former soldier who is haunted by a covert mission gone wrong, and to make matters worse, he has a mysterious neural implant called a Mind's Eye that plagues him with fragmented memories and is desperate to uncover the truth about his past. I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. It takes place in Red Rock, a place where AI, robotics, and neural implants have changed society for both the good and the bad. Players will be able to experience action on foot, in cars, and even in the sky as they uncover more about Jacob's story. Now, he was a former lead GTA series developer, so we'll see how that kind of works out. How mission structures work, how the story and narrative work, how strong the character work is. Is it going to be as irreverent as GTA, or will it mainly more focus on how the story kind of works out? GTA is able to do a lot of different kind of things and juggle all the different kind of stuff without as much tonal kind of whiplash as say as like the Like a Dragon series. Like a Dragon juggles all that stuff kind of as well, but it goes to even like weirder, crazier extremes. It's mainly in how the pendulum swings rather than like the kind of extremes that it does. Because if you would compare it to GTA, yeah, that's a pretty good comparison to have of like, okay, some crazy wacky shit kind of happens, but it kind of goes even a little bit further in some kind of weird kind of like areas. All right. Warriors Abyss is a new roguelike launching today on PS4 and PS5. Let's see. Randomly generated stages, items, choices that will make you stronger, and so much more. That's pretty much what you'd say about any kind of roguelike. Let's see. Exhilarating feel of 1 versus 1,000 action with roguelike elements. There will be over 100 unique characters and over 16 billion combinations of ways to play by choosing 7 of 100 characters each run. Interesting. Sonic Racing Crossworlds gameplay at Sony. Let's see. That's going to be on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series XX, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Look into that if you look into that. I'm not that much into racing games, but it's good to have a variety of effects, a variety of games going on with this. Stellar Blade gets Nike crossover DLC and PC port release window. Oh, good, cool. Liza P. Overture is a prequel DLC expansion set to be released this summer. The hidden story of Krat, and see how you woke up in the middle of the Great Puppet Frenzy. Ooh, that's kind of cool. I have not played that game, but I'm glad that they're getting DLC for it. WWE 2K25 spotlights its social multiplayer wrestling hub, The Island. I don't know, man. I have not heard good things about, One, I'm not that much into wrestling, but I have not heard good things about the state of quality that sometimes comes on with those games. So be excited, temper your expectations, and hope that it works out well. Shinobi Art of Vengeance brings the classic franchise to PS5 and PS4. I saw this one, and I'm like, ooh, pick me. It's a new entry in the beloved franchise that will launch on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 on August 29, 2025. Joe Musashi is struck by tragedy and embarks on a quest for vengeance. While it isn't a Metroidvania, players will unlock abilities that will let them explore hidden paths and discover secrets, which should add to replayability. It's being developed by Sega and Streets of Rage 4's Lizard Cube. I like Streets of Rage 4, and after seeing the trailer for this, I'm like, yes, please. Yes. I'm like, you're a ninja, and you're kicking ass and taking names, and it's, of course, more kind of a 2D one, side-scroller kind of going off, and I'm like, yep, I'm good with this. It looked really kind of nice. If you are into that, definitely check it out. Metal Eden is an adrenaline rush sci-fi FPS headed to PS5 on May 6th. Good to have some first-person shooters there. Let's see. Mechanics is known as core ripping and allows players to use a multi-tool to use its gravity beam to rip cores from your enemies in your way. You can then throw these cores and create a nice little explosion. You can also choose to consume the core, which will improve your melee attacks, mobility, and survivability. Sounds like an interesting kind of FPS that could work out. I have to look into that a little more. Lost Soul Aside finally gets a release date, new gameplay reveal trailer. I have not heard of this one. Started as a one-person dream from Yang Bing and has now evolved into a sprawling adventure full of breathtaking visuals and adrenaline-pumping combat. Alright, I'll have to look into that. Monster Hunter Wilds adds Mizutsune in its first big update. Split Fiction gets a new story trailer. Haven't really known much about that one. Let's see. Supermassive Games Directive 8020 will scare PS5 owners this October 2nd, 2025. Sci-fi exploration with spine-chilling horror where every choice could lead to a disastrous death. Let's see. Players are aboard the Cassiopeia and sees the character searching for a new home. As Earth is dying, the ship is kind of like a survey ship. Things sadly go anything but smoothly as the crew wakes from a 4-year hypersleep to a hull breach, a murder, and some extremely suspicious crew activity, all of which culminates in the ship crash landing on the planet. Oh, and there will be an alien organism that can transform into any character, so that's great. Ah, shit! That sounds like it's going to be nutty. Let's see. Pixel Junk series is Dreams of Another. Not really. That's a VR game. Okay, so that's why I'm not really that much into it. Darwin's Paradox follows an octopus who finds himself in a food factory. Jesus, that's going to be kind of nutty. Midnight Walk, stop-motion first-person action-adventure game. That sounds interesting. That's going to be PS5 and PSVR 2. Like a Yakuza, Like a Dragon's Kasuga Ichiban will be joining Dave the Diver in April. Interesting. Hell is Us gets a new look and release date. That's September 4th, 2025. I don't know much about that one. Digimon Storytime Stranger is set to launch in 2025. Stop the collapse of the world and change fate itself. Nice that we're getting more Digimon games. Five Nights at Freddy, and that's about it. So, there's a lot of different kind of ones. It's nice and packed, but it seems more that we haven't gotten as much onto Sony's kind of newer kind of IPs. I mean, Concord was that kind of one that's like, here's a live service game. It's like, oh, fuck. We'll see. It's kind of weird that most of these you can look up and be like, oh, they're going to be coming onto other platforms, or you can just wait for them to be on other platforms. And that's really very odd. Gaming's in a very odd space right now. I liked a lot of the games getting more for Onimusha. Shinobi was a nice, kind of crazy one that popped up out of nowhere for me. Mind's Eye's definitely one that I kind of want to get a little bit more into, and it was nice to get a release date for Borderlands 4 and to get a look at how the gameplay is working out. We'll have to see. Sony and Xbox are in some really weird spots right now. Xbox is pretty much going to be third party at a certain kind of point. I pretty much see them scaling down their hardware to pretty much nothing and just putting it onto other kind of stuff, which is fine. That means you have to then hope that other kind of places take up the slack. Dedicated hardware for gaming consoles definitely deserve a spot in the video game space. That's how I've liked being a gamer. Now, if it means that I'm almost pretty much dead by the time it kind of swings back around, kind of happens. There needs to be nice competition going on. We see that Sony pretty much fell into the live service kind of fuckery kind of shit and overpaid for Bungie, and it's like, just make your good games. Make a wide array, fuck me, of games, because they kind of fell into the trap of doing the kind of samey stuff. You look at Uncharted and Last of Us, and they're going for the more kind of cinematica stuff like that. And it's like, okay, because they started doing that kind of template with like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. There are certain kind of gameplay tweaks, but they started having similar kind of patterns and kind of feels, because you'd see other kind of stuff that were like pretty much PlayStation ones that are like you only could play on PlayStation until the timed exclusive kind of went away. You'd have your Jack and Daxter, which is a colorful kind of crazy thing. You have your Resident Evil and your Grand Theft Autos and everything. They need to just have that kind of build and just make good quality games. I know that sounds stupid and it's a basic kind of thing, but it's mainly because all of these head assholes they're in charge. It's across all of them until I see more of the kind of inkling of it happening at Nintendo. It's definitely at Microsoft with Xbox, and definitely at Sony, where they want all this kind of stuff. You also see it in other kind of ones. Square Enix is a great one where it's like, this didn't perform to our financial expectations. What did you expect for this to sell on a console that people have had to fight for 4 fucking years to attempt to get because of supply constraint issues and fucking scalpers and shit? Like, so they just need core stables. Sony really needs to kind of nail down. I hope they just... I don't mind multiplayer games. I hate multiplayer games and how they've become pretty much just things to get people to do macro transactions and just fucking spend more than what you would do if you actually bought a fucking game. It's like, no. There's better balancing of price to making sure that the business model is viable. It's also kind of like leads me into this kind of shit that's going on with AI because they got no viable business model. Like, and this, and they're charging in fucking astronomical shit, and it's like, we're still not breaking even. It's like, then what are you fucking doing? I think expectations need to be tempered and just pay the devs and let them experiment with good fucking games and just let it kind of go. I want a lot of core stables. I want Sony to have a nice vast array. I would like Xbox to have a vast array. But it seems at this kind of point in juncture, you would be pretty good served to go after, if you can't, no, because the thing is, handheld would be more of a value add. And really, I don't even see those kind of like taking on Nintendo. Those are the kind of console spaces at this point, and they are fucking astronomically expensive as well. it's really kind of weird. Sony's the only one doing a pretty much argument for having any kind of value core kind of proposition for their console at this point, and they're still making shitty ass, greedy ass, corporate ass shit. But they had a good amount of array of games here, and a lot of interesting ones that I was interested in. Hopefully, there's a lot of other ones that I'm not interested in that you guys are interested in, and really have you really excited to play on PlayStation or wherever you like to play, because eventually they put you on PC as well, which I am happy and thankful for. I mean, that's where I played God of War Ragnarok. I'm looking forward to playing Spider-Man 2 at a certain kind of point. And any kind of other ones, because I wait. I'm looking into other kind of games as well. Indies seem to be my kind of ones that I'm kind of looking at this point, because for the love of fuck, PC gaming has its own fucking shit. And the thing is, the fucking AI frame generation shit is coming for consoles as well. And I'm like, oh god, can we just... They're doing all this stuff to make games look good, when if you just took the time and let your devs learn the hardware and be able to actually give them the time to optimize their games, I think we would be in a better spot. I mean, there are also certain instances where the hardware is like borked to fucking shit, and no matter how long you would spend on it, 1 year or 100, you still wouldn't be able to figure out what the fuck it's supposed to do to try and get someone to look like they're not shoving their hand through their fucking head. I get that. There's a lot of nuttiness there. It's just... it's such a weird time. But these games, I'm interested in seeing how this kind of goes, how we kind of set out from here. It seems like an interesting 2025. There's a lot that... I'm glad that they had a lot of release dates for this. Normally you don't get that. And there's wiggle room here. There can be some delays and everything like that. And I'm like, delay it. I mean, I'm going to remember a shitty game, but more than a game that's been like delayed infinitely and at least came in a better kind of spot. Now there are those ones that are stuck in development hell, no matter how long it's cooking. Woo! Duke Nukem. Holy fucking shit. So, those are my impressions and my opinions on the state of play. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.